Hello chess fans, this is a quick recap of the round 3 game between Grandmaster Parham and Grandmaster Ivan Saric. Though not perfect, this game is a beautiful demonstration of pawn play. Um, this game starts as a Caro-Kann defense. We enter the advanced variation. Parham plays the immediate c5, waiting for White's knight to develop before bringing his bishop out. Knight f3, and Parham first plays knight c6, pawn c5. Now it is possible to play pawn e6. However, Parham first plays bishop g4, and White plays pawn c3. Now the e5 pawn seems to be hanging, but if Black plays knight e5, then there is knight e5, bishop d1, bishop b5 check, queen d7, bishop d7, king d8, knight f7, and White wins material. So here first Black plays a6. So this is all theory, just preventing the bishop b5 check before capturing on e5. Knight bd2, knight e5, bishop e2, knight c6, h3, bishop f3, knight f3. So here Black chooses a setup in which all his pawns are going to stay on the light squares, and he will develop his bishop on the dark squares to the long diagonal. And clearly the bishop on g7, the knight on c3, they are all aiming at the queen side. So Parham has a good queen side play. So he White has the bishop pair, so he will aim to open up the position at some point. Black will try to maintain control and try to avoid pawn breaks. So notice that White is unable to play pawn b5 because that is always going to lead to weakening the c5 square. So this is a key point in this position. So White has a large queenside majority, 4 versus 2, but Black is always preventing the pawn breaks and pawn pushes on the queen side. So this is the current theme of the game. um, Rook fd8, focusing on the queen side, knight d4. Here Parham plays queen e5. Perhaps he was expecting just to repeat moves after knight f3, queen e7, knight d4. Playing Black, getting a draw is not a bad result in this format. So, but White wanted to play more, so he plays queen c2, rook c8, knight c6, rook c6. Notice that he is not playing pawn c6 because pawn c6 immediately blunders the a6 pawn. Bishop d4, queen f4. Parham seems to provoke some weaknesses. He wants to provoke White into playing g3 so that he has some targets. Bishop d3, and he doesn't want to give up the central pawn on d5, so he brings back the knight. Queen e2, knight h5. Parham wants to exchange the bishops so that White doesn't have the bishop pair anymore. White plays g3, driving the queen away. Bishop g7, king g7, and here we reach a critical point. This position is fairly balanced. However, here White falters and he plays pawn c4. He has to eventually push the pawns on the queen side. However, in this situation, here Black can play pawn d4. Now Black is advancing his own central pawns, gaining more space, and the queen side pawns of White are kind of locked. So it is very hard to advance because the c5 is always hanging, and this creates a lot of problem for White, as we will see. bishop e4, rook c8, queen f3, rook c7. So this move may be mysterious. Why he's moving the rook twice like this? Because in the last move, if he had played rook c7, then there was bishop f3, and after knight f6 there is this um, unpleasant pin of the knight. So Parham doesn't want to lock his queen, so first he plays rook c8. But after queen f3, now there is no longer queen f5, so he plays rook c7, defending the pawn on b7. G4, knight f6. G4 is another weakening move, but it's not a disaster yet. But definitely we will see that Parham takes advantage of the weak dark squares around white's king. G4, knight f6, a5, rook d7. So this is a minor error from Parham, because he is allowing pawn c6. Now queen side pawns were not rolling, but this is a small chance to um, make them mobile. But however, white misses this move. Perhaps he was worried about this exchange sacrifice queen b4, um, but this is quite um, playable for white, and in fact the computer suggests that this is bad for black. But he in the game, white decided not to play pawn c6. He played rook d3, which is seems to be a blunder, because in many lines black is going to get pawn e5 and pawn f5, and he's going to gain a tempo on this rook. So the rook is not well placed on d3. The only role it is doing is trying to blockade the advanced passed pawn on d4, h6, rook e1, and Parham decides to move the rook away. And now white is again not playing very good moves, allowing black, giving a black free hand in the position. So after queen g3, black plays pawn e5. Now white's queenside majority is stuck, while black is having a very strong center, and with one passed pawn which is protected by another um, pawn on e5. So white is in trouble here. So he is lacking space. His pieces are cramped. We will see how Parham takes advantage of this. So first he wants to play bishop g2, so that the bishop doesn't. He wants to preserve the bishop, and he doesn't want to lose a tempo when black eventually plays f5. So he plays rook e8, rook d2, queen d7, trying to play queen a4 and attack on the queen side. So white plays queen b3, pawn e4, queen b2, pawn d3. So now it's clear that um, the these two pawns are menacing white's position. Rook e3, queen c7. Now from now Parham switches gear, and having driven the queen away, now he is targeting the weak king. Uh, Perhaps now white may be wondering why he played g4 and king f1. Uh, Clearly these moves um, have caused the trouble that he's going to face now. King g1 back, queen f4. Um, Now Parham is trying to take advantage of the pawn weaknesses, and he attacks this pawn. So it's very instructive that uh, when white captures on h5, he plays pawn g5, because the h5 pawn can be later on captured by the knight or the king, but he's interested in opening the g file for his rooks. So white finally manages to move his queenside majority, but it is too late, because there is a very strong attack on white's king. So black starts with king h7, um, unpinning the knight, pawn c6, bc, ba6. So now white also has passed pawns, but these are quite slow, as we will see. After pawn g4, queen d2, pawn h3, rook h3. White is rushing to exchange queens because he doesn't want the queen to be also part of the attacking team. So Parham happily exchanges the queens and plays knight d7. So this move seems to be a mistake because the idea is very clear. He wants to play f5, but unfortunately here white can play bishop e4, giving up the bishop, and rook e4, just rook d3, and the two menacing pawns are lost now. Central pawns are gone. Black has an extra knight, but hardly it can help in checkmating in the end games. For example, with an extra knight, it's not possible to win. So white has excellent drawing chances here. However, white did not find this move. After knight d7, he played rook e3, allowing f5. Here again, white could have played pawn f3 and simply um, breaking the center after knight c5, fe4, fe4, and king h2. It's possible to play this, but white is quite passive here, so he decides instead to go bishop h3 to target the base of the chain. However, this doesn't work out as well. Black plays rook f7, now threatening f4, king f1, pawn f4. Here white can hang on by playing rook e1, but there is knight c5, and pawn e3 is unstoppable. So here he gives up his rook and then plays a couple of moves um, before resigning. So a very nice win by Parham. So he has showed how to get a passed pawn in the center and how to play with them, how to restrict white's queenside majority when we need to. Though not perfect, I found that this game is very instructive.